Welcome to the Intimacy Lab. I'm Michelle Renee, an intimacy guide, surrogate partner, and professional cuddler. We're here to talk about intimacy in a much broader view than what you probably think. Most people think about intimacy as sex. We're going to break that apart here. Welcome to the lab. Welcome back to the Intimacy Lab. I'm Michelle Renee, and today I get to introduce you all to my friend and colleague, Jax. Jax, you want to give everybody an intro as to kind of who you are, where you fall in the world, and why on earth, why might we be excited to talk to each other today?
Sure. I'm Jax, she, her. I am located in the DMV area, really like the Northeast corridor if needed and if need be. I am a consent and intimacy educator, coach, and companion. Included in that is erotic touch, erotic coaching, and platonic touch and cuddling. And we know each other from all of those circles of people who do. Oh, I also am a will consent facilitator. So we know each other from all of those intimacy professional circles and conferences and connected relationships.
Yeah. I think we met at a conference, right? In I don't know what year it was, 23, 22, 23?
Somewhere around then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were doing cool shit in DC.
Oh yeah, I'm the founder of DC Cuddle Club. I'm never good at these. I used to be good when I could condense it, but
yeah,
I'm the founder of DC Cuddle Club, which also has affiliates in Atlanta and LA. And I think that's probably was the main thing I was doing then.
I think so. Yeah. And I was super cool. You were combining kink and cuddling and both two of my loves. So that was fun. I love the sex ed world, and that's what it was. What was it called? Sexologist.
Sexology Summit.
Yeah.
Reba put that on.
Yeah. It was good.
That was a good time. I met a lot of people that weekend. I love convenings like that because they're either the first time I'm meeting a lot of people or it's a reunion. So there's some conferences I go to and it's a reunion, and it's sometimes where I'm meeting a bunch of new, I guess each one is both. Yeah. I just did Creating Change this weekend, which was both. I met a lot of new people and I saw a lot of people reunion.
I imagine. I remember having a lot of friends when I lived in Michigan that would go to Creating Change. I just got back from the AVN Adult Entertainment Expo.
I saw you walk on a red carpet.
I walked the red carpet for the GAYVNs, which for those at home that don't know, that's the awards for mainly gay male performers. It's such a
curious.
They put them all together, but my understanding is there were some trans performers that were at the AVN. It's interesting. I was is this going to be a full queer show or is it just gay male? And it seemed like it was just gay male, but it was an experience just hanging out the whole weekend with Alex, who, I don't know, I say he has 12 plus descriptors in my world. I don't even know what to call him. He's the innermost rings of the tree, right? He's right in that center, hearty, juicy middle of it. But he is a coach, and he has a kink podcast that is also educational porn. So it's we did episode 1 together. I was so bummed when the performer on that episode did not want to be on Pornhub. And so my episode is not on Pornhub, but I was I'm going to be on Pornhub. This is amazing. I'm not on Pornhub yet. So we're going to do another episode. I come in as an educator. And so it's the way he does the podcast is it's an education around a specific kink.
Mm-hmm.
So they have somebody come in, kind of like a phone a friend, and help set the scene and help prepare Alex for the scene. And then they have the negotiations. They have on the podcast that's easily accessible and free. You have the negotiations and you have the aftercare. The juicy middle is only available through Pornhub is the current space for it. But so it's education. I think he calls it education you can get off to.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love that.
So he's a
Heard of a couple
performer.
people that do things similar. So like,
Yeah.
I love any opportunity to like show that, because we love to say, as educators, we love to say like porn is not education, and a lot of people are being educated through porn. So like
Yeah.
those opportunities to like marry the two. There's somebody I met, I think, at that same summit that I met you at, that does something similar in Europe. I know King and Jasmine sometimes they like do they film like their like pre-negotiations ahead. I just love that, because
It
then
makes
you
it
can
more
get it
real.
in one space.
Interesting with him is that, so because he was a performer, he got to have access to, we went as helping out with an exhibitor table called Dr. Tush, and it's an aftercare product that is all over the body, but they badge it in separate containers for like anal play, vulva play, nipple play, right? But it's really all the same product.
Uh-huh.
And then yes.
I recently, so I teach classes at Lotus Blooms sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
I taught a strap-on play class,
Mm-hmm.
and they carry it. And I was asking, I was like, well, what's the
Oh,
difference in the different ones? But like the active ingredient is the same. So I
it's
very,
yeah.
very recently was made familiar with
I
this.
sold it all weekend, right? And it's like what was so interesting. So for those at home, maybe I'll put up a promo code by the time this thing goes out. It is primarily a hydrogel, which is used in hospitals for burn recovery, skin repair, things like that, plus a little bit of peppermint just for a little bit of cooling and antibacterial properties. And you can use it anywhere on your body, right? So I was sitting there and putting it on my hangnails. Like, could I heal up this skin right here, right? It can be used anywhere. And then they have a product that's badged either as kink or spank, same base product, but they add arnica and a little vitamin E. So to us kinksters, we're like, arnica, yeah, we know all about that, right? So what was interesting about sitting there and like selling a product to vendors, and then there was also some fans that came into our space because we were in this like mixed use space. The amount of performers that came in and raved about how much they loved it, I was like, if anybody knows what's effective for overuse, it's going to
Yes.
be a porn performer, right? Like, yeah. So that's how I got in. And then with Alex having credentials as also being a performer, we got to go into the models lounge. Well, he basically brought me in with him, and we did some time in there. He had a shift with Pineapple Support in there supporting the models, and then which is a space that's dedicated so the fans, they can get away from the general population there. They serve food and water and all that kind of just caretaking stuff. And then so because of that, we got to get into the GAYVN. So we got to walk the red carpet. We'll never do it again. It was such a long wait. But what was kind of really yummy about it was all of these primarily cis men. There was this, well, first of all, I was invisible because I was around gay men all weekend, and it's a little bit of a break. It's kind of, it's nice and it's weird. You miss getting a little bit of attention at some point, because if Alex wasn't introducing me, I'm pretty sure they would have never even asked me my name in a lot of those spaces. That's been my experience. But they've either worked together or in some way they know each other. So there's this flirtation. It's like thick soup in the air of like, we should collab, or hey, it's great to see you again. And I was like,
collab.
Yeah, I just like, that's gonna be my new pickup line for like, we should hook up. We should collab.
We should collab.
We should collab. And it was juicy. It felt really good just to be in that energy, even though it wasn't, and kind of nice that it wasn't directed at me in some ways. But like, I will say, I finally found one straight man to give me some attention at some point in the weekend, because I was like, I didn't go looking for him. It just happened. But he was really lovely, and we chatted each other up for a little bit. But I did fall in love with a bi man who knew all the vulva anatomy.
It's a great way to go.
I'm like, leave it to the bi guys. Like, anyways, he's gonna come on and do an episode with me. He's a
About the vulva
performer.
anatomy?
Well, I'm sure it'll come up. That's how he caught me. Like, he started out as my favorite person of the day because we were just talking about I did a sex experiment with Alex because he wanted to know what it was like to have sex with a woman. And I was like, I volunteer. Part of that was teaching him about my anatomy. And when we were talking about that with this table of gay men, this Chad Rex was there and he just jumped in with all the anatomy. And I was like, be still my heart, sir.
I feel like that is a service I could get behind. Like, oh, so you've never like
Mm-hmm.
you are sexually experienced and you want to like make sure or like you want to try this out one thing. I feel like that's a service I can get behind.
Well, the funny thing is that actually Alex just posted a video about this yesterday, is like how gay men really critique straight men for not trying. Right? How do
Mm-hmm.
you know if you haven't tried? Kind of, ooh, like, why are you so stuck on just only being with women kind of attitude? And he's like, we do the exact same thing. We do the exact same thing. He's like, all it did, me having this experience with Michelle, was I had a good time and I really understood my orientation better. Like, he understands what the difference between having sex with someone that you're oriented towards versus having sex with someone that you're not, which for me as an asexual, it was so validating that he was able to mirror that experience with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for extra complications. I'm used to somebody that I like sex. I like the idea of having sex. Do I need to have it with this one specific person? In a curiosity way, maybe, but not in like what I deem to be necessarily sexual attraction. I'm attracted to them for lots of different reasons. And in that I like you, one of the activities I might like to do with you might
Mm-hmm.
be sexy, right? And so for us, it was just really interesting. And I love how he's bringing that kind of, what would happen if you just stepped outside of your norm and was curious. So that's the name of his podcast too, is Kink Curious. So
Kink
it works.
Curious. Can I start being a dork right now?
We haven't even got to the dork part, but yes, please bring the dork.
It's the same with spoilers, I guess. It's the same experience when like Shane is like trying to have sex with Rose and he's like, yeah, this is fine, I'll do it. And I was listening to, I think, gay men podcasters or something on Instagram say it was like, we get to experience what it's like to like be fulfilled and be attracted and this and like know that like, yeah, I've tried this thing and it's not
Mm-hmm.
working for me, but this is like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you
Yeah.
know
So
that?
yeah. So by the way, the reason that Jax is here is because we're gonna geek out over Heated Rivalry. So if you don't want any spoilers, ta-ta for now. Come back when you've watched the show.
Watch it and then come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watch it and come back. I know I liked it and I finished it just so we could have this conversation. I made sure that I got it finished. I was watching it with Alex. It was a committed relationship. I didn't want to cheat on him. We finished the show, and now I'm finishing it with my husband because we were all three watching it together. He
Mhm.
was out of town, and so I'm finishing it with him. He still has one episode to go, but loves it.
I I am not in possession of the willpower to have finished episode 5 and be able to pause there if I have access to episode 6. Like on a
Yeah.
first watch, I can't imagine that kind of willpower.
Yeah. But he
And this
doesn't
is
get
why.
into that kind of stuff. Like I think he really started watching it only because me and Alex were watching it, and like the idea of not laying in bed with us was more of a FOMO situation.
No.
I think he wanted, and it was cute. I'd go out and get snacks and I'd come back in and he'd be all curled up, cuddled up with Alex. It was very sweet. I have my own little, gay romance happening in my bed, and I'm not mad about it.
That sounds like the best way to watch the show.
There was a point the second time we got together to watch it, all three of us, there was a point where I was like, whoa, that was hot. Should we just like pause and like get that second round three-way? Like we've the original sex experiment was a three-way. And I was like, we've been saying we should do a second coming, And there was that moment where I was like, this is kind of a little precursor.
And there's someone I was friends with at some point. They were like, I'll try anything 3 times. I really kind of believe in that.
Yeah, I think that was there's an old actress that was kind of her, she was kind of known for saying something like that. I can't think of her name, but I used to say it a lot. I want it, the first time is the first time. You just don't know.
Mhm.
I did it with I didn't do 3 times. I did do 2 times. I went to, have you ever been to a float spa?
I did. I can't remember if I actually floated though. I was there like you know me, I end up supporting in some way. So I was there for, it was like a floating sound bath at
Oh.
is that what you mean? Or like you mean like one of those float chambers?
Yeah, the float chambers, but
No, I have not done that.
well, I don't really like water. I'm not a,
What?
I love being next to it. You'll
Hmm.
find me at the beach, not in the water unless I have to pee. That's what I say, is I only go in as far as I need to go in to pee. It's because I'm at Black's. It's a nude beach here. They have a lot of stingrays there, and the last thing I want is to get stung and still have to figure out how to get my way out of this very hard to get to beach. It's a
Hmm.
huge hike, and the thought of doing that with a stingray sting is like not on my bingo card. And so I literally, it's a nude beach. And I joke about this. I literally just stand in the water at my ankles. I don't fucking care. And I'll just pee. And like, I know there's some dude probably jerking off to it on the beach. And I can't
Good,
care.
good for them.
If I was going to hide that I was peeing, then I'd have to take a risk. And I just don't feel like that's where my risk taking is at these days. So, yeah.
I like how, couldn't you just stand and pee anywhere then?
No, I'm afraid that I do think that like the lifeguards could get me for some kind of indecency. It's such a weird differentiation because it's not like, okay, so I'm peeing, it's literally just running down my leg,
Yeah.
right? Are they going to prove it? I don't know. You know what it's a little more conspicuous.
I'm having a medical emergency. I don't know.
Well, I'd say, I mean, Sarah would do it at a public, regular beach. She would have like a sundress on. My friend Sarah, I love her to death, and she surprises me all the time. So we're sitting at the regular beach, and she goes, I have to pee. And she's like squatting, and I was like, okay, thinking she's going to get up and go to the bathroom. No, she literally just squats and pees. Her sundress is kind of covering the area, and I'm just like, who does this?
A friend taught me, and this was we were all at a retreat or workshop or something together at her house in Costa Rica, and she was like, if you want to go to the grass and do a starfish pee, like, so at one point, I don't know if it was me or someone else, I was like, we can all starfish pee together. So we're standing there, I don't know why our arms are in the air, but our arms are in the air, legs are apart, we're just peeing in the wind. And it's lovely. It's lovely.
I peed outside all the time as a kid. I grew up in the country. My body was trained that the minute I got off the bus, I needed to pee. And I had to get dropped off at the top of a hill because our house was on the side of a hill. We lived on a big farm. So we had a trail that went from the top of the hill and wandered down and around to our house. So we didn't have to walk on the road. And every time I got out of the line of sight of the road, I would stop and pee or I wouldn't make it home. So like peeing as a kid on a farm is just rites of passage. So it's a little something to get over the idea that people are watching you. Some people have some pee shyness.
Mm.
My husband can't stand me even peeing with the door open.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, could you shut the door? And I was like, do you shut the, I'm like, I go, do you always shut the door? He goes, yes. And I go, even when nobody's home? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you're weird.
Really? I nearly never do. Unless I'm like in a public place and that's where you're
I'd
like
rather
you have
not.
to
So,
be.
so fun story is I'm seeing a couple different guys who we all pee in front of each other. Like, and I said something, I always come home and rub it in Paul's face. I'm like, haha, so and so, he doesn't care if I pee with the door open. And I go, good thing we have an open relationship. He goes, it's an open door relationship. And I was like, there you go.
I feel like my friendship with all of my friends is open door peeing.
Yeah.
I think about the friends whose homes I spend the most time at, and then when my friends are here, rarely is my door
I
closed
mean,
when
are
I
you going to
not
stop
for
a
peeing.
conversation just to go pee?
Right. And I think about particularly one of my friends, there's usually a group of us there at any given moment. So someone's in the shower, someone's doing makeup, someone's just hanging out chatting with us, and someone is peeing
Yeah.
most of the time. I feel like we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in her bathroom.
Yeah. No, I think that's like I think typical I think that's more typical, but maybe it's just the people that I like to hang out with.
I'm also probably more naked with my friends than a lot of people. So
Same. Absolutely.
that maybe that has a bearing on it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I don't know. I mean, I don't think I grew up in a house where we shut the door when we peed. But I can't really say for
I
sure.
I think we did. Yeah. I think the door was closed when I peed
I
when
want
I
to
was
poop
growing up.
in private.
I'm a poop in private kind of person. I
Yeah.
well, there's there's one person I two people I think I've pooped in front of. And I remember like I had a living partner at some point and they were like upset because I had pooped in front of someone else and I was like, no, I won't. I'm not gonna poop in front of you. I don't want that. I don't want that.
The levels of
Um,
intimacy, right?
yeah, I don't want that.
It's too I think there's some intimacy that is hurtful potentially, like um you get too comfortable in front of people sometimes, like
Hmm.
yeah, I think I don't remember if I pooped in front of my first husband, but I definitely wiped. And I remember he teased me about it, but I had a
With
big old
wiping?
booty. I had a big butt to get around, and he would make fun of the contorted facial expressions I would have while I was reaching for it. And I was like, "Get out! I just can't." So I'm like, I'm shy because of that, probably more than anything else.
Yeah, yeah, not in that context. And I also feel like, I mean, poop is poop and like butts are butts and like there's things that happen with butts not related to poop that sometimes can involve poop
Yeah.
and sitting and pooping in the room alone is my right.
Yeah, no, I'm totally I'm not moving on that boundary. There's no ask is high enough for that one for me. I will do I'm a GGG girl, but like good giving and game, but not for that. Um okay. Well, we just there's so much I could talk to you about and I'm just like, ah. And I just saw you. What? We just had coffee for hours not that long ago. So
Like 2 weeks,
more than
3.
that, but not much.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably 3. But
You know how time has been passing over in this parts.
well, you've been iced in.
I've been iced
That's a
in.
terrible word to use right now. You have been,
I've been
yeah, we've
iced in
all
with my I've been iced in with my hockey boys and saying fuck ice
all
anytime we
that
have
you
gotten.
have like ice coming at you in all directions
I know.
lately. Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
Yeah, some of it's really, really bad and some of it's really, really lovely.
Yes, thank God for the little bit of reclamation of ice in the hockey world. I don't
Yes.
know. Okay, so I know we're here to talk about a specific scene.
Yes.
That was your ask to me when we were sitting at coffee.
Yes.
You were like, "Oh my god, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this." What, like, we talked about what platforms you could use, and then you're like, "You have a podcast," and I was like, "Yes, we can talk about it here, absolutely." So, how do we
Yes.
want to set this up?
Do you want to go straight to the scene? I am curious since you finished it, since I spoke to you. So I'm curious about how you feel about it. Um, I'm curious about consent in it overall and like relationally. And there's a one specific thing that I'm like, no one else. I mean, no one, I don't know who else would be saying this, but like it's the Russian listening turn that happens in
Mm-hmm.
episode 5 that like
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was watching for it because you had pointed it out, but
oh, you hadn't seen it yet. That
mm-mm,
part.
mm-mm. So I wasn't. I was only at episode. I finished episode 3 when I had seen you, so I had not seen it yet. I was just telling Keely about it because I was telling Keely that I was coming on to talk to you, and this was our primary purpose. And just even explaining it to her, I go, "Oh, I just got goosebumps," because it's so well. It just I would like to start there because I feel like we're going to confuse people if we bounce around too
Yes,
much. Let's let's start with let's explain what a listening turn is.
absolutely. So, um, I'm a part of my work is wheel consent facilitation and a practice that I do with colleagues, like me and friends at this point will call each other and have listening turns. A practice that we teach in the Wheel Consent workshop or like a pro workshops is listening turns. And essentially what it is, well, the Wheel of Consent, and probably I'm assuming some of your listeners have heard this, but a Wheel of Consent is the framework created by Dr. Betty Martin. A framework created by Dr. Betty Martin, and it takes consent and it breaks it into 4 quadrants. And the most important thing that it's doing is often in interactions and relational interactions, a person is doing a thing to another person, and a person is having a thing done to them. And so that's one side of it, but it adds the additional context of saying who it's for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we practice that in all kinds of ways and we put it together, and it's really something that you feel somatically through practice, yada, yada, yada. And one of the very early practices that we do are listening turns. And it's a way for folks to really feel into like when something is for me. And so a listening turn is one person, it's typically done in pairs. One person has the time, the space, um, to receive the gift of someone else's attention. And so there's a person who is taking their listening turn, and they get to take however much time it is, like it typically is time bound by like 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on how what's needed or the container that it presents itself. And that person is not in conversation with the other person, but they are receiving the gift of someone else's attention. So that other person isn't there to respond or to solve a problem or to be entertained. That person is there to witness and to hold space, if you will. Um, and typically with the caveat that I'm not going to later come back and like poke and prod about these things, um, and not going to insert myself in any way where like to infringe upon my ability to take this time for me. And oftentimes when we are facilitating it, people are like, oh, I loved it. I love like learning about this person. Or like, oh, like they are feeling like I get to hear all of this stuff about someone that I maybe don't know or someone that I do know and I love. And it can often feel like, oh, this felt like it was for me. And so the way that we frame that to help you really know it's for you is the person who, when they're done speaking, they say thank you to the person who was giving the gift of their attention, and the person who was given their attention by silently being there will say you're welcome. And that's a tricky part. Like that's where the person's like, oh, yeah, like because we all want to say, oh no, thank you. But no, it's really like built into the practice that like You took this time for you, so you might be talking about a specific thing that's on your mind. You might be sitting quietly, and you might sometimes, and this is an example that we give, a way if you have a hard time not performing or not like pulling in the other person, so you're trying to engage them a certain way. A great way to take your listening turn is to do it in another language.
Hmm.
And so,
So we have the perfect example, which I can only imagine. I'm gonna be at Like a Pro in Chicago with you in April,
Mhm.
and I'm just curious if we'll end up with a clip of this as part of the workshop, because it does help you understand it in a very um it's different when you can't understand what the person is saying, right? You are really just a vessel to let them talk to.
Mhm.
And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Um so let's set the scene. We're not gonna, I don't think I can get a clip to insert in here. If I can, I will totally do it. But like, do you want me to like lay out the lead up to this as easily as possible?
Yeah, I think we need to say like what is it? Have we said like have we actually said heated
We have
rivalry?
not described, we have said Heated Rivalry.
Okay.
Heated Rivalry is a show on HBO
Created by
about,
Crave.
okay, I'm not familiar. So
If
if
people
that's
get upset, I've spent way too much time. It's not HBO did not create this show. It's a
right.
Canadian created
No.
show.
Yep.
HBO picked it up. That's all I
Yes.
say.
Yes. But you will find it on HBO.
Mhm.
Um, it is a story about some gay hockey players. A few different stories are told, intertwined, or in purpose of getting to the end. I say this like it's interesting to bring it all together at the end. Um, but at this time of the story, there's no out hockey players. Surely there are plenty of gay hockey players, because gay people have been around forever. They just haven't always been out of the shadows,
Mhm.
right? And so you get this story of over many, many years. You've watched it enough times that you've done the math. How many
It
years is it
starts in
over?
2008. It ends in 2017.
No, doesn't it end even later than 2017?
2017.
Okay, okay,
Where we are in the story now ends in 2017.
okay, okay. And it's just the story of primarily two peoples, um, kind of very slow love affair, and intertwined with another story that helps the whole thing come together at the end. And I don't know what the books are like, and it's so interesting. I was back home in Michigan, seeing my kids at Christmas, and my daughter-in-law writes queer romance.
Ooh.
Yes, she has a pen name and everything. Her first book is out. And she said to me, I'm so excited because one of my favorite book series got made into a television show, and it's so good. And I said, oh, what's that? And she goes, Heated Rivalry. And I go, oh my God, I'm watching it too. Right? Like, and I didn't, I go, they're books? And she's like, yes. And like showed me. So I have them on my Audible that I might eventually try. I really love reading for information, but I'm so curious to see how things compare. I'm sure
They're
you've
quick
read them.
reads. They're quick listens. I've listened to
Okay.
3 of them now.
Okay. There's only 3 of them, right? I think there's only 3.
No, there's 6. So there are
Oh,
6 total. But there are 2 Ilian Shane books, and there's one
okay.
book about Kip and Scott. So I've
Yeah.
listened to the first 2 books, and then the last book, because that's the second Shane and Ilya book.
Okay. Well, maybe, should I, like, if you're like, read it? Okay. All right. Because it's on audio, I will. I don't read with my eyeballs, so
With the caveat that these are not their voices, and so, and I don't want, like, I think this man is a lovely reader, except
yeah.
there are differences, right? And so Kip
I
in the
wonder if
book has
yeah.
like a Brooklyn accent, which And
Yeah.
Ilya in the book has a Russian accent, but it's not that Russian accent. And then
Yeah.
there's a different reader for the last book, and that one sounds like Groot. Like,
I wonder if they'll ever redo them.
so the fans are really pushing for them to record it. Now, if you this is what happens. And this is the last thing I'll say. If you want to hear our boys read something, Quinn, which is an
Mm-hmm.
audio erotica app, they have an original series in 3 parts that the boys read. And it's called Ember and Ice. It's
Oh.
about two princes that are in love. Very, very similar
Hmm. I
thing.
tried Quinn. I really didn't get into it. I'm always trying to figure out what is the thing that will turn me on, because that's half my battle is like I'm incredibly responsive desire. I have to find arousal. And it is so difficult. And I've recorded, like, audio recorded sex between me and my partner, and I have found that to be incredibly hot. And I thought maybe listening to stories and stuff would also do that for me, but I think I I also have aphantasia. I don't see pictures, so listening to a story doesn't create a storyboard for me.
There's lots of sounds in this one. So it would be more similar to there's story and then there's action happening that has
Okay.
sounds. So it would be more of a mix of a
Okay.
story and like partner recorded play, I would think.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe I'll pop back on and check it out of curiosity, especially if I'm traveling and lonely and bored, which sometimes happens. Sometimes I'm not lonely. Who knows?
Mhm.
Um, okay. So where were we? So that this listening session. So the story gets to a point
Yes.
where I'm so bad with names. Why don't you tell this part?
Okay, so our main characters are Shane, who is a Canadian hockey player, very top of his game, and Ilya, who is a Russian player who plays for an American team, a US team.
The team that
And
you're wearing right
the
now.
team that I went, he plays for the Boston Raiders.
Can't let
Such
that go.
such a
Can't let
dork.
that go.
Um, And so they spend the first part of their situationship really squarely in a situationship where
Hmm.
there's definitely like a lot of sexual chemistry. These boys are closeted. These boys are closeted to the point where, for one, the Russian, it's dangerous. He
Hmm.
is bisexual, but his connections that still remain to Russia make it dangerous politically and otherwise for him to come out. And for the other, our sweet baby Shane, I think he's just figuring out he's very much an iliosexual in that like he's in the closet, but I think he's still somewhat in the closet to himself 8 years into this
Well,
love
there's
affair.
that moment where he goes, I have to tell you something. I'm gay. Have you heard? I mean, what are your thoughts about Shane being autistic?
I think it's very coded. And so the really beautiful thing is the actor who plays Shane is his father is autistic.
Mm,
Um, and I think I've read where Rachel, the writer, she was what that was not her intention, but when she got that feedback, she was like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense." So she wrote it that way, and it's interpretive, and I think it's really lovely.
hmm.
I I think where and I've seen a lot of folks who are neurodivergent and autistic on the autism spectrum who've said like they really love this. I always get I always like the caveat that like that's not how all autistic
No.
people are going to show up, and that's several of folks that I have dealt with or know, and sometimes I felt like I've shown up. I see myself in both characters a lot,
Hmm.
um, and so I think it's a really lovely interpretation of yes, um, the autism spectrum, and yes, just like the spectrum of how it is we show up and communicate and feel comfortable in interpersonal relations, period. um you have one actor or one character who has all of this baggage from his life and like is lacking all of these like interpersonal like love and support from family. And then you have this other person who has this more like an internal struggle of like how to communicate, but who's surrounded by love and family and how that makes it so impossible for them to communicate with each other at their baseline, and they have to figure out what that is over time as they are drawn to each other in ways where they can't deny the fact that they're in love with each other, and they're going to have to communicate in order to get to where they need to be happy.
I know we're taking the ADHD route to getting to this story. I want to acknowledge that because now I want to stay off of that. Do you think so? I noticed there was a mixed feeling in me with Shane. There was a feeling of, is that internalized homophobia? Like there's a lot of shame that I feel like I'm seeing show up in some of those after sex moments, right? We have that post nut clarity or whatever you want to refer to it as. But then I'm
Post
also,
confusion for our boy too.
yeah, but also like, I'm also thinking about that moment in the elevator where he starts to type a message of like, we never even kissed or whatever the message was there. And then I'm like, okay, so am I reading it wrong? Is it not shame or is it more confusion as to what is happening here because it's so disjointed?
I pretty squarely read it in confusion. Um, Much more than shame. And not that the shame doesn't exist. I the way I read, so I've listened to the book and I've
Mm-hmm.
watched the show now, and so specifically in the realm of the show, the way that I see Shane is that I don't think he's spent much time thinking about his sexuality. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
only spent time thinking about who and how he wants to show up in the world in the context of the things that he's good at. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's lots of if I think about a life where like I wasn't seeking out pleasure or people that I'm interested in because I had not come across people I was interested in or brought me
Mm-hmm.
pleasure, how my gauge for what's supposed to happen might largely be dictated by the one object of my affection. And
Yeah.
so when I think about how sweet and lovely Ilya can be to Shane in some moments, and how at different moments, I think Ilya both is guarded, is worried about all of the things that it would mean for him to show up and be in love with this man, and not for nothing in the ways in which he realizes he can and can't open up to Shane. I think Shane is not without fault in Ilya's inability to speak to him, because the times where he does bring up like, oh, like family for me is not the same family that is like bringing you joy and sunshine, and you're not understanding this, so maybe I can't lay this at your feet because I don't think you can handle it.
Yeah.
And so I think the way that Ilya deals with Shane is he's measuring what he's giving to this
Mm-hmm.
boy at any given moment. And Shane doesn't have anything else to go off. Like,
Yeah.
you gave me the most beautiful first sexual experience of my life. And the next time it was like very like kinky, but like um
Distant.
emotionally separated. And so that would confuse the fuck out of me if I don't
Mm-hmm.
have any other context for how this is supposed to be.
I'm going to take a real quick pause in our episode today and just say thank you, listeners, for being here. If you are a listener of the Intimacy Lab podcast and you'd like to try going through some of these questions with me, guess what? I decided to make it an offer. You can learn more at intimacylabpodcast.com. I'm going to offer 30-minute and 60-minute options to get intimate with me. Join me on a video call where we will go through our own We're Not Really Stranger cards and get to know each other. It's a great place to practice. So if you want to practice getting intimate with your words, go over to the intimacylabpodcast.com and sign up for a call. Now back to this episode.
When I go back to thinking about the times that Shane's like, oh, I gotta go, or oh, we can't do this, I think because he doesn't have so yes, there's some homophobia in there, but it's also confusion as like, you never I came into this kind of like taking your lead, and you never actually gave me the rules and the roadmap for what we're doing and what's allowed and what's not. And for where he sits, what feels like this is me opening up, or this is like, hey, I like you, from the ways that I can show it, it feels like that part's not allowed. So it's confusing me when you're making me sandwiches and being very sweet to me.
Well,
I don't know how to deal with this.
especially if you don't know how to read between the lines, right? I'm just thinking about autistic characteristics or
Yeah.
just some neurodivergence. I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I don't feel like when I read stuff about ADHD, I don't resonate with it. When I read stuff about ADHD, I'm all over it. So I'm gonna just say I'm ADHD, and I totally get. I think I do. We just had the come up in a meeting the other day. Somebody makes a joke, and I don't take it as I don't realize it's a joke, and I'm confused, and it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, I don't. And they're like, it's a joke, Michelle. And I'm like, oh, it's that thing with my brain, right? Like, and I had the pleasure of meeting a really adorable bi gentleman at the AVN thing. And one of the things, like, there came a point where I was like, Alex, I would not be mad if we ended up in a 3-way with him. Like, at all. Not mad. This would be like late birthday gift to Michelle. And he goes, well, he told me that he is really bad at reading between the lines and people should be really direct with him. Should I send him a text message? I said yes. And so he wrote the text. He ran it by me. It was something like, me and Michelle think it would be really fun to hook up with you. If you're interested, let us know. And he came back with like, that sounds really exciting and fun. And let me see what my schedule looks like. It didn't happen, but I feel like he's going to come to San Diego. So that does not make me upset. But I love that self-awareness of like, you need to know that I don't do well with nuance, right? And I just think about the ribbing that Ilian would do, which I get it. I grew up in that house. I thought for the longest time, if you weren't picking on me, you didn't like me, right? And if that was a similar situation, calling him boring all the time and things like that, like,
but also calling him pretty, and Shane being like, no, not like. You understand.
Right. Yeah. It's fun to watch the floundering a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad it took a change.
Until we get to a point, yeah. Until we
now
get to
we're
a
back
point.
to
Yeah.
kind of, I think it all kind of culminates in this listening turn.
Yeah. So after Shane's like taken control of the situation, learned that he's gay after 9 years of being obsessed with the same man, and really being like nudged by a girlfriend who's like, "Hey, have you?" I don't think he spent time thinking about it until that moment when she's like, "Hey, there are gay people in the world. Have you noticed?" And maybe you're one of them.
I tend to date them, is basically what she says, right?
And I think I don't, the sweet baby, I think there is a world where it had not crossed his mind. He was just trying to put this one man who is forbidden for several reasons, like not only because he's gay, but like because like it would not make sense for the way they show up in their workplace. So he has both confessed to being gay. He has also made himself a safe space for Ilya to actually open up about his feelings and
cry
what's going on at home. And so after that happens, and it's very important too that Ilya is not a native English speaker. And so, which could be contributing to some of the communication stuff on the front end. And Shane has the most so Ilya's father has passed away. He is in Russia, moving through a lot of emotions. Also has been nudged by his female friend, to say like, "Hey, I think you're in love with this other man, and it doesn't mean that we can't be friends and we don't love each other, but like you have your person. And so Ilya reaches out to Shane for comfort. Um, and something that Ilya expresses in that interaction, like he wants to share what's going on. There's so much going on that has nothing to do with their relationship. It's just, I don't have friends that I can express this way to. You have made yourself a safe space in this way. And, oh, by the way, it's hard for me to express in this language. It's not my native tongue.
Well, I'm tired. I heard like, I'm tired. I don't have the energy to do this in English.
Yeah.
Which ends up, I think, being such a accidental bonus for him because he got to say everything he wanted to say. And not worry that it's not being received. It's being received energetically, but it's not being, the data is not being processed.
And yes, so Shane, sweet baby Shane goes, how about you get out everything you need to? And it doesn't, like, essentially, it doesn't matter that I can't understand you. I can still be here, hold this space for you. You might feel better if you get it out of your system with me witnessing. And it's so good.
It's so good.
And so much is talked about, like, so I think the discourse online is like, well, why wouldn't he Google Translate? Because that's not the point. Why, these are things that he said that he wouldn't say to Shane otherwise. It's not the point. Like, the point is he created the safe space for him to say these things.
It would have violated his privacy to do that. That's like if I knew that there's been times my husband has had a telehealth therapy session here in the house. And I have to actively work not to hear it. But that's his space. I will go out of my way to actively avoid hearing it. Put on the headphones, go out for a walk, do something to not violate that. And if I was running a Google Translator during this, that it's not consensual.
And when you're breaking down who's it for, like, yeah, it would be helpful for Shane, even if he presented it that way, even if it was consensual, if he presents it like, you can speak and I'll Google Translate and I may have feedback or something. And that's not the gift that he offered. And it's not, and it becomes very clear that the gift, it's so clear in this scene who the gift is for and who is given the gift. Shane is giving the gift of his presence, the gift of the idea in this instance. And Ilya gets to just express. He gets to express things that he's likely never expressed to anyone. I don't think he was accessing that level of, like, truth before. He's sharing some things that have nothing to do with Shane and have everything to do with, like, what he really just needs to get out. He needs to, like, allow to be voiced. And through that, he also realizes some really beautiful things about Shane that's still not for Shane in that moment yet, because he still gets to decide, when do I want to tell this man I love him? How do I want to tell him I love him? Is that appropriate? Is it safe for me to say that in English? It's safe for me to say it in this way.
And he could hear it from himself in that space. And I think that's like, I love that because it wasn't a different language, it quote unquote proves the power of this skill, this practice, whatever you want to call it. But the other thing I think about is something I bring up often. And I have to remind myself this. I remember being on a airplane listening to a podcast years and years ago, and this woman was on there talking about co-regulation. I think her theme was like, there isn't really self-regulation. It's all co-regulation. Whether you're with someone or not with someone, you're accessing a memory no matter what. So you're co-regulating with the memory of this event or person or what have you. But the thing I really loved about it was she said, people don't need someone to tell them the answers. They have the answers. They need a safe space to be able to talk it out. And that's what we saw in that space too.
Yeah. And I think one of the flaws I see that like frustrates me in Shane's communication style throughout the whole show is that like, so my boyfriend is in distress, this man is in distress. Is it this? Is it this? Like a thing that's recurring, and the reason I think Ilya doesn't open up sooner is Ilya would be like, I'm going home in 3 days. And he goes, it must be nice. Which, if you waited and gave him space, you would know that it's not going to be nice. When they were talking about going to Russia, um, he goes, your family's probably excited, like that, like leading. Your family's probably excited about it's going to be in Russia without having any context. Like that's your context. When I think he very slowly understands the complications that exist trying to be queer in Russia. But I think even earlier in that conversation, and I know I was telling someone, like, I know at some point Yuna, his mom, was like, we're going to get you in like empathy classes. This is how you like have the conversation going forward. Because he goes, is it very distressing? He's talking about his dad. It's like,
Yeah.
well, which I recognize in like ways I've seen communications being taught before, like empathetic communications. It's like, oh, you can offer what you think they're thinking, which is very opposite to the way that I operate these days, because I don't want to plant things. I really want to hear. And I think this is the first time that Ilya, like, in conversation with Shane, and I think from there on, I think they have a better relationship to it. And I don't know if it's because of this thing or exactly, like, it's just them lining up a little bit better. It's the first time that Shane isn't like connecting something that's going on with Ilya with Shane's understanding of the world, because they're two completely different understandings of the world.
I think their energy just changed. Like,
Yeah.
You know how that happens? You hit this, maybe you can't put your finger on it, but there's something that connects you differently. And I think it's vulnerability. I think it's that, the opening up, the be willing to cry, and then the being willing to do that, just talking it, even though I can't understand you, that you trust me to hold this. Right? I think that is received in that moment. It just changes things. There's a safety that's enforced or reinforced or solidified or strengthened, maybe.
Proven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no longer a situationship. It's not vague. There's like a clarity to it, even though they don't know how to move forward.
Yeah, they're still working out the words, but I think in that episode, and particularly in that conversation, they figure out that they're each other's people. I think when Ilya calls him in the first place, I think that's where they know, because that's not a thing that they were doing before.
No.
And he's like, here I am in a place of need, and I know where I can get support. And I'm going to do it despite like whatever has been stopping me from doing that in the past.
Okay, question.
Yes.
In the book.
Yes.
In the books.
Yes.
Is their communication really that spread out and sparse? Or do they elaborate more? Like, I want to believe they had to talk, they had to share something more than that.
No. So I think honestly, so what's happening in episode 4, where they're like more, I really love the show. I really love how the show brought it to life. In the book, they're fucking more. They're fucking like in the early parts of the season, they have like an unspoken of not fucking, like when it's like, essentially I'm thinking everything after All-Star Game. So I think like All-Star Game is probably like mid-season. And so after that, they're like, okay, seriously.
No, yeah, it's serious. We can't. Because I also had this like, isn't there like some rules for men in sports? Like you don't fuck before a game because it makes you weak.
Yeah, for playoffs.
Like
they talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that even in high school. It was like a thing of like it will ruin your game because like your strength is depleted and your
Yeah.
legs are wobbly, or I don't know what the hell. Like I don't know
Millionaire
anybody having
ejaculation,
that.
millionaire ejaculation and orgasm conflation and
I was
conversation.
gonna
It's
say
always
I didn't have that great of sex in high school to worry about my legs not failing me at sports, but
also, I feel like high school boys are ejaculating all the time. That's what I mean. I don't have kids, but I
I
feel like
assume.
I feel everything. All of media tells me that the baby boys are as soon as they
I'm
can.
sad I wasn't. Like I was a late bloomer. Like I wasn't actively pursuing any of that back then, but I always assumed my boys were.
I also don't. I have some assumptions around how soon they can control not doing it too. So like,
Hmm.
between um nocturnal emissions and showering, I feel like I don't know. I think pop culture and my friends who have boys would just lead you to believe that there's a couple of years where there's like nonstop
I mean,
ejaculation
there was
happening.
a point, but it was later in the teens that I sent my son lubricant. Wasn't living with him, but yeah, I was like, I'm gonna send you some lube.
I feel like you're the second mom I've heard do that in the like last 6 months.
Well, if you work with enough penises that have never had lubricant,
Oh.
like when I was doing surrogate partner therapy, I got a lot of like delayed sexual debut is the kind way to put it. And I always say like that was part of my intake of like, how do you masturbate? Tell me, are you using lube? Are you using your hand? And the first thing I would do is like, you've got to start using lube. You need to start using a sleeve to retrain your penis to what sensations could feel like. Because when you've overstimulated the area, that it just is going to take something that a vagina can't do. If you're going to get to penetrative vaginal sex, like you're going to need to learn how to experience lubrication and not have the death grip happening.
Can I name that in the book there's lots of lube?
Good. I mean, I saw the spit scene. And there's that part of me that went, oh.
I love that scene. In the book also, there's this idea of like pre-cum being like, I don't know, so much more than what it could possibly be. That's my one maybe with the book. It's just like, oh, he's
I
like,
don't know. I've been with some people that have a lot of pre-cum.
I I think pre-cum is a delightful thing. I just want to name that. I can't think of it being enough to lube two penises.
No, or for anal sex.
Oh no! So yeah, no, not for anal sex. Um, but yeah, in the book, apparently Shane is a very wet boy with the
Oh,
pre-cum, but there's lube in like every room. There's lube
good.
all over the place. Um, yeah, I also just want to I do want to like circle back to like listening terms. So that is a beautiful example, and I want people to know that it's a great thing to practice with friends,
Mm-hmm.
particularly when we don't want advice. We just want to work through something, or we just, want space to name things. It's great to go back and forth. It's a great way to start a meeting or like with a business partner. It's a great thing to do with a lover. Um, I'm sure it would be a delightful thing to do with a child. So to
Yeah.
allow a child space to like have their
Say
little
anything.
pulpit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the caveat that like it's non-retributionary and it's not like this isn't going to be the subject of the rest of the evening because I voiced some things. I might be in the mood to talk about more about it, or I might not.
Yeah, because that's not part of it, right? There's not
Right.
a response.
And I get to say, I get to place those parameters on it too. Like I want to tell you this thing, but like, can you be in the room and not look at me? I want to say this thing, but like, um, can you not look me directly in my eyes? Or I'm okay with like natural responses and nods, or like, please don't nod and like seem like you're agreeing with everything. That's gonna throw me off.
Mm-hmm.
And people can also like set up their own limits. The person who's giving the gift can set their own limits around like, yeah, I'm down to hear anything except for about the president, because like I don't have the spoons to hear that shit. I'm down to hear anything that's not
Mm-hmm.
inclusive of violence. I'm down to hear anything that's not spoilers.
Right. Maybe I'm down to hear anything that's not about me. We
Yeah.
can, like, that's the thing. I think if we're going to give like a quick primer, if somebody wanted to jump into this,
Mm-hmm.
set a time limit,
Set a time limit.
start short. I'm going to guess it would be best if both people got to have a turn and it wasn't just one directional.
Yeah, typically yes. And if you don't have anything to say in your turn, you don't have to say anything.
No, you can
You could
practice
sit there.
silence.
You can practice silence. You can end it at any time.
Mm-hmm.
You can be complete. um, yeah.
You could eye gaze. You could, it's your time. You get to do what you want with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, think ahead about what your parameters are. Maybe don't jump into the deep end of the pool in the first listening turn, right? Like you've been through Cuddleist training. We have a thing in there. And I want to say, I forget that we don't set quite as strong of like a container for it, like what the rules are, as we do at like a pro, at least from what I remember. Like you're supposed to be kind of stoic, like not participating in any kind of like nodding or mm-hms
Well,
or
I think it's based on who you're speaking to.
okay.
And I am a proponent of naming up front all of the things that you can name as your limit, as that's the person who's doing the listening, and as the person um who is requesting the gift. I want the gift to be, if I am giving a gift and I want it to be to your specifications. And I want to know if I can give that gift to your specifications or not. Um, Another one is you could use that time to journal while being witnessed. So if I do have a lot to say about you, and I don't want to say them about you, and I don't know another language, maybe I'm journaling.
Yeah.
While being witnessed, while having the gift of your presence.
Yeah. I think it's also, I look at it as a diagnostic tool too, in that, gosh, how does it feel to not engage with a response? Like I will do this with a client and I'll say, I want you to know before we start this, I'm going to work really hard not to respond to you because I want to see how much you're looking for my response. I want you to notice how much you're looking for my response and just notice it. Right. So there's like so many different ways to play with it in setting those parameters. And how does it feel different to know somebody? If I was sitting with you, I remember doing this around the touch in the touch exercises in like a pro or wheel consent. How does it feel different when I am paying attention to your touch versus just looking around the room? What do we want when we're engaging in touch with another person? If you notice that it feels better when somebody is paying attention to you, then ask for that. So same thing with this.
Because how much are we doing things even that are for us that we want that indirect pleasure from, that we are still performing? I still want you to think I'm funny. I'm hoping you laugh.
I love telling stories, you know? I don't do it because it's fun to tell them. It's fun to hear somebody be amused by my story.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful practice. I would love to hear so your overall take on the show now that you've finished, because I was like early psychosis when I sat down with you. That's probably not the best word. Delusion. Early, like cottage delusion when I sat down with you. I was like, this is all I can think about and talk about.
That's how you were when are you talking about
I
today or
know.
when I saw you in Baltimore? Because you were like that too then.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So now that you've finished, like, what
Yeah.
are your overall?
I love seeing more gay representation. I loved seeing an arc of like emotional growth. Like this is why I love Ted Lasso, right? I love this watching, you know, specifically like cis men grow. I love that. So, it just I had a lot of sadness in the middle of it. I had sadness for Shane, especially that, like I said, that moment in the elevator, he's like, he started to text like, you didn't even kiss me. Like I've been in those spaces before where it was devoid. Like I always say, you can have intimacy without sex and you can have sex without intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was sad for me because I know that's like an old behavior that I would have engaged in a previous life. Where now I think I can't imagine getting all the way through an experience and not have like been like time out. This isn't working for me, or I'm noticing that like you're not kissing me. Some people don't like kissing, but you've been with this person before.
And he has kissed you.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like that's their second time after that first time, which like these are the most beautiful kisses that have ever existed. And then you get nothing. And he doesn't feel empowered in that moment to speak up as much as Ilya does a great job. I think so I look at everything in terms of consent, right? There's so many like beautiful examples. And for me, that like that listening turn, um, is an example of how consent can work in a way that's like very specific and very clearly outlined. But I think as much as Ilya has created this consistency and checking in with Shane about how things feel and if he's okay, conversely, Shane hasn't learned yet that he can also speak up for the things that he wants. He can also kiss him. Like he's like, well, he's in this mode of going along with
He's a
what this person.
passenger.
I really want to please this person. I really want to show up the way that they want me to show up. That he's not even hasn't taken a moment to say like, it's not like, why haven't I kissed him? Why am I not showing up in this space that's reserved for the only little bit of pleasures that I allow myself in a year?
Okay,
Why?
so I'm just thinking about what it's like to be a young sports star who's been doing this game for, you know, since he could stand up. I imagine he was in skates, right? And there isn't choice in that space, right? And so I'm just thinking about my own journey. And like, I remember I was in a call with Madeline Guinazzo back in the day, bitching about why is it that this is back in early years of cuddling? Why is it every man comes for a cuddling session and they're all looking for sex? They're all trying to get sex, even though we say over and over again, this isn't what the space is for. And she went on about, you know, men being socialized to ask for what they want and women being socialized to, I always stumble on the word, not negotiate, but there's a term for it. Needless to say, in that, as somebody who didn't ask for what I wanted, I never had to know what I wanted. And that's easier in some ways, right? And I had this moment where I went, oh shit, I have not asked for anything in this relationship. It's the same relationship I'm in now as the person I ended up marrying, but we had been together for maybe 2 years at that point. And I was just going along. I was there was no part of me, I didn't want to rock the boat. It was good enough. And so we never had that first difficult conversation where this was the first time where I thought, okay, I'm going to ask for something. And if he says no, we might have to break up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard to do the first time. And I said, I got off the call and I go, Paul, we need to have a conversation. I realize I've never asked you for anything. And so we got on a call and I said, we were poly, and I said, I think I really want to try just being in an open relationship and not polyamory. Like, I don't want to deal with the complexities of you trying to build all these other relationships. And he wasn't very good at our relationship, let alone like juggling multiples. And it's like we did everything backwards. Like most people start monogamy and they're like, we should open up and then we should be poly. And we're like, we started as poly and then we eventually tried monogamy and then went back to open. Like we've gone up and down the scale. And I just had the guts to just say it. And he went, yeah, we can try that. And then it's like, and then the next time it's a little bit easier to have that conversation where I have an ask around my own needs. And it's so, it doesn't happen fast as much as we try. I know in my work, and I'm guessing we have so much overlap in our work.
This is the reason this work exists, because 40-year-old men, women, but primarily women, 40, 50-year-old women are like, yeah, I've been married and things are cool and everything we do is the way he decided we do it. And those things aren't working anymore. Or I really want to try this other thing and I have no idea. I don't have context or asking for those things. Or I haven't given myself permission to want anything in the first place that's outside of the things that have been presented to me.
And then the question becomes why, right? There's lots of reasons why, but sometimes the reasons are because I just, like, we have these wounds from when we're children. And we were trying to keep everything together in our family, or you couldn't rock the boat. It wasn't safe to speak up. Like there's so many different reasons. And then we get to an age where it's like, oh shit, how much time have I missed out on? Because I haven't realized that I'm still acting from this younger part. Whew, maybe I can adjust course. But you got to take the first step, and it's the scariest one.
And sometimes this was cool, but I didn't get the one thing that I really wanted. And how do I move differently after this?
Yeah. I mean, there is always...
It takes like realizing like, oh, wait a minute. What I thought was happening and what was actually happening didn't meet my needs. And how did we get here?
And that's okay, because we get to have the little autopsy on it. And then go back out and do it. You just got to practice. You got to put the training wheels on. And with the expectation that it's not going to go necessarily smoothly the first time. We're going to stumble and chicken out.
Yeah. And that it's easy. It might be easier with this partner than it was with this partner.
I think, oh my gosh, the people that try to fix established relationships, like I always say, like, God, I love the Wheel of Consent and how it would revolutionize relationships. And I love that y'all are getting so many therapists in the training, because I do think it's such an interesting paradigm to acknowledge in a relationship of, like, it's a practice. We don't have to live in it all the time, but like just being able to like notice what you notice when working with the Wheel of Consent and the question of who is it for. Eye-opening.
Or am I in agreement, or am I in like some like vague expectation that hasn't been?
But to do that work inside an established system,
it might
real hard.
It might blow it up. And that's a hard sell, right? Like I believe in this work so deeply. So deeply.
Your life will be different. It may not include the people that are in it right now, and it may. And it would be better if everybody is on board. But it won't be the same.
Won't be the same.
Yeah. This is why I don't know how you feel about working with people that are partnered and their partner doesn't know that they're working with you. I have a big conversation around like, I'm not opposed to it. I don't have any, horses in this race or whatever the phrase is, but you're not going to spend time with me and not change.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to explain that to your partner? Like, you read a book. If you're a reader, you can just say it was a great podcast. I don't care what you're going to do, but I want you to understand in informed consent, this doesn't not affect you.
Because you're going to be a different person on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Just asking the question. I remember I have a client, just the first session was, hey, I can't trust your yes until I've heard your no. Blew his world up because he took it to heart. Yeah.
We send people like cracked open into the world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it hard. But that's why all of these things are practices that might be easier to practice with someone like you.
Yeah.
Might be
I think
easier
I'm
to
going
practice with
on,
someone like me.
I think we're at 4 years of work together. And it's still a work in progress, right? Like, it's still a work in progress for me. And that's why I don't think it ends.
Yeah.
We just get better at it. Smoother.
And then we start new relationships with people we want to impress, and we're like, oh no, but I'm gonna have to be honest in me.
Can I make this a confessional space? And I'm going to say it out loud because I want to hold myself accountable for it. It's really interesting. I have been in with my husband for 10 years. Really earned secure attachment in this relationship. I come from more of a, I don't know, I say disorganized. Some people say I'm not disorganized. I'm whatever. Anyways, I don't know. It doesn't matter. What tends to happen is I'm the opposite of whatever other person I'm with, right? If somebody comes at me super, super like anxious, I'm super avoidant. If somebody comes at me really avoidant, I'm super anxious. And it has been so nice to sit back and relax with my husband. And I've gotten to this place that I'm getting so like trusting, which my first marriage blew up in not a really pretty way. So it was hard to kind of get back to that space of feeling like I'm good here. And then I started getting, ever since right before my 50th birthday, I've been way more sexually active with a variety of partners. And occasionally a little bit of anxious Michelle pops up.
Mm.
And like the other day, I had a really lovely time with somebody that I've kind of knew in passing, not really very much. And I was like, we should hang out. We spent a ton of time talking. Like, he came over at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Didn't leave till 2 a.m. There were sexy times by the end of it. But probably a couple hours tops, maybe, of that. But the level of intimacy, because of all that talking, like just learning about each other, and then the quality, and I kept saying, I can't describe what you feel like. It's such a different combination of experiences for me. It was like, he was very firm and slow in his touch. Like, it was very intentional, and it was very just, there was so much energy behind it. It was very intoxicating. And I found myself waking up the next morning with such an intimacy hangover, and the doubt that flooded in. I haven't felt oh my God, did he have a good time? Do you think he'll call me? Like, any of those anxious feelings, I have not felt those in so long. And I was like, what the fuck is going on with you, Michelle? And I called a friend and I talked it through, and where I came to is like, I enjoyed it so much that I'm actually invested in hoping that he feels the same way. Right. Like, and I haven't felt that. Like, I'm pretty easy breezy, love my friends. It's fun to be sexy with my friends, and they're more established as my friends.
Yeah.
I know where I sit with them, and in this person, it's all up in the air. And I'm like being very patient. And I didn't act on those anxious feelings. I didn't. Young Michelle would have been like somehow trying to manipulate him into like telling me how was it. And one of my friends goes, "Why don't you just ask him?" And I'm like, "Because I'm not going to do that, especially not in text."
But you could.
I could, but I can also. I'm patient. I can
We
just let
can
it
be
play
Scots.
out.
We can be Scots if we want to. And
yes, we could be. I personally saw red flags all over Scott. There was a part where I, in the very early part of Scott Hutcher, where I was like, "Oh, this is swoony. Like, I am so enjoying this." And then it turned into, "Oh shit, is this love bombing?" Like, there was this. Is he going to turn into the serial killer that he keeps mentioning? Like, I wasn't sure where they're going to go with the story on that
I
one.
saw somebody say that like Scott's the only honest love bomber to ever exist. Except that he was manipulative. He showed up in a very different way than he actually had the capacity to show up for that man.
Absolutely.
But
He was
but
a
I also
dreamer.
yeah, all of that resonates really, really hard with me.
Yeah.
Really, really. Because I think, yeah, I'm in love with my friends. I'm in love with my friends. And then there's a couple people that come along twice in the last year that I've been like, oh, please like me.
Mm-hmm.
And one didn't.
Yeah. But it's like, I've made this shift in so many places of my life where I'm like, it's not about trying to be picked. It's about who do I want to pick.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, it did a little flip on me. And I'm like, Michelle, I only want to be met where I'm met equally. Let's see how he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm not going to not have our usual interactions, but like, I'm not, ultimately, I'm okay either way. Yes, it was lovely. I'm past the initial high of it, right? We have to have a couple days to get the oxytocin out of our system. For me, a good 4 days is helpful. I have a date with someone on Saturday. I will be high as a kite for 4 days. I will float into my house and my husband will go, "Have a good time." And I'll be like, "Yes, it was great." Right? I know myself. 4 days, I will detox and I'll go back to normal.
I think if you need some serotonin in between, some dopamine.
I could rewatch Heated Rivalry. No, you know what helps is having a new crush, because in between that, I met good old Chad out in Vegas, and it helped shift my gaze moved. It was good.
Yeah, that can help.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It's just fun to have a life where I get to crush on people.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about crushes, I think, is when you haven't had one in a while or you don't have one in the moment. Maybe I'm dramatic. I'm like, I'm never gonna like anyone ever again. Because it's pretty few and far between.
Me too, usually.
I had like 2 back to back recently, or fairly like close, and like within a couple months. I was like, oh, maybe I do like people, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know that I like people.
Oh. No, I mean, that's
outside of like the people I just feel very connected and like already like love pretty deeply.
I'm still not interested in going out and searching for that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to find me on a dating app. Like, they never worked well for me anyways. I need to like, I'm in love with the feeling I have when I'm around you. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell that from a dating app. And so it's nice right now that it feels like it's coming in like rapid fire, but for years I was like, I'm good. I don't need it. I'm practically monogamous. And now I'm like, look at you, Michelle. January was a good month.
I think it's waves too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's waves. I feel like fall, winter was great. And now it's like winter, and
you're in a place where nobody wants to leave their house.
Yeah. But I'm also very chill staying in the house because I had such a lovely end of the year that like I'm cool. I'm cool over here because then it'll be spring and then I'll be running around and like who knows what'll happen.
It's abundance, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. We run in like these circles. I'm going to make an assumption that you're in a very similar circle to me, just because of the kind of people that we are in the work that we do. Like I have a wonderful bubble, and while the world is fucking falling apart, it's a weird space of like people go, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm great," and the world is fucked. Like,
It's always very confusing. But yeah, I very much feel that way. Like the world, this country is crushing. And I even going back to this, a part of the reason I almost didn't watch this because I thought I was like, oh, the straight girls are like going nuts over this show, like boys kissing. I'm like, I can see boys kissing all the time. I see my friends kissing all the time. My friends are very hot and very I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like something for the people who don't have a lot of spice in their life. And
but maybe it's not fantasy for us.
Right.
We're like, it's a story, but it's like there's a difference between hearing a story, reading a story, listening to a story, watching a story, and thinking of it as something that's so unattainable that it's completely a fantasy.
I don't know. That cottage is kind of a fantasy. Both of those houses.
Oh, I love the architecture.
Those houses are a fantasy.
Yeah. But we have, I mean, I speak for you. I think we have great sex lives. We're not living vicariously through other people.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm trying to say is like,
yes,
I feel very blessed. And back to the whole situation in the world. I have a big thing about like you've got to keep your micro worlds good so that you can handle the macro world. If you haven't got a good micro world and the macro world's fucked, like, yeah, that's hard. It's hard.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And so my like little thing that I'm doing after like coming out of Creating Change and like really spending some time with folks from Minnesota who are like doing the work on the ground there as activists and healers is I'm like meeting my neighbors and they're helping me shovel snow and I'm like, passing along salt. That's been my like what I'm doing now. Because outside of just my people that I love, I want more people that I am accountable to in my like actual geography wise.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's to come. So I just want to be in that. Like I'm meeting my neighbors now. That's my like thing.
Yeah. I took a really early morning call one day from I wouldn't say, not a close friend, a acquaintance who had just come home from a protest and was really disturbed by what he witnessed and just wondered if I could just listen. And I was like, absolutely. Like, and so I jumped on a call. I was on the East Coast. It was like 6 a.m. on the East Coast, and it was 3 a.m. back here. And it was like, I can't be out there, but it feels good to like support you with this phone call. Yeah.
Are you giving the gift of your attention?
My attention and my affection and every gift that I think I do well. Yeah. Jax, thanks for joining me, and I'm glad I could create a space for you to get all geeky about the boys. You're so cute.
Me.
You're so cute.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate it so much.
I love your enthusiasm. It's just absolutely delightful. Anything else? Oh, you know what? Where can people find you if they're like, this Jax, I want to follow them and maybe work with them and whatnots?
So, on the internet everywhere, I'm Touched by Jax. So like Instagram, website, Facebook. Also DC or cuddleclubs.com or touchbyjacks.com. I see folks one-on-one. I also do workshops. I will come and teach workshops. And I think that what I don't have links for and stuff yet, I think I'm actually going to do like a little mini series on like Wheel of Consent and Heated Rivalry, because I think there's some other things in there to touch on. And if you want to see me like a pro, so I'll be at a couple of like a pros coming up. So in Chicago in April, in North Carolina in March. So if you like really want to geek out on this, so if you are interested in the workshops that I will host, follow me on the internet or joining my mailing list. March, I think, will be my next online offering. And if you want some longer time with the practice, looking at like a pro on the School of Consent.com or org, I don't know.
I think it's org.
Yeah.
I always say like a pro is my absolute favorite training that I've taken.
Me too. That's why I do like at this point I think I'm doing maybe 6 this year. No,
Wow.
4. I'm doing a lot this year.
Yeah.
The 2 that are open for registration are those, but I'm going to be at several of them this year.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. And thanks everybody for listening to us ramble on. I call this my voyeur podcast, where you just get to sit and listen to me talk to my friends.
Yeah. Send me all of the juicy memes. I probably already have them, but like if anybody wants to like just nerd out on
Heated Rivalry. You know how you always had that friend where you send certain stuff to? You're like, I want to be your friend. I want to be your Heated Rivalry friend.
Stuff, and most of it I've already seen, and I'm like, I just want more people to like join the lunacy with me.
Whatever brings us joy. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to comment, pose a question, or learn more about the guests often featured on the show, visit us at intimacylabpodcast.com. Please also take a moment to review us on your favorite podcast app. It's one of the best ways to show your support. As for me, you can find out more about my work at meetmichellerenee.com, as well as on most social medias at meetmichellerenee. Let's connect again soon.